Please naman. Good morning, I'm Bertrand Mo. It is Wednesday, the 26th day of February, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Senate President Cheese Escudero once again rejected the idea of calling a special session. He stated that the Senate would begin the impeachment process against Vice President Sara Duterte in June, with the trial expected to conclude by October. CIDG Chief Major General Nicolas Torre recently made headlines for his stance against later on in the program. And today, February 26, is the deadline for DOTR officials to submit their courtesy resignation. The new Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon said this is what any newly appointed leaders do. And Pope Francis' health has been improving over the past few days after being diagnosed with double pneumonia. However, the faithful remain divided with worry and hope as the pontiff's condition remains critical. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first up on the agenda, the Supreme Court has ordered Congress to comment on Vice President Sara Duterte's petition against her impeachment. The SC ordered the House of Representatives and the Senate to comment on this within a non-extendable period of 10 days from notice. Attorney Sheila Sison of Fortune Narvasa Salazar Law Firm, which is advising the President or the Vice President on the matter, said in a statement that they welcome this development. Sison said they have complete faith that the Supreme Court will thoroughly address the legal issues they submitted in the petition. Meanwhile, Senate President Cheese Escudero said as soon as the Senate starts pre-trial in June, still under the 19th Congress, they would be drafting impeachment rules and sending out summons. This means that the trial proper could finally start by July when the 20th Congress opens, and the impeachment court should be able to finish this within 3 months or by October.
Dahil dyan, pamati ko dahil masobra sa 3 bulan, 2 bulan ang trial. So antes kami mag-recess by October of 2025, tapos na tabi ini, mapagbobotohan na tabi ini.
Malacanang said President Bongbong Marcos has no plans to call a special session for the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro explained it would be awkward for President Marcos to voluntarily call a special session. She added that a special session can be called if senators themselves request it. The palace also noted that while the 1987 Constitution states that the Senate shall forthwith proceed with an impeachment trial, the law does not specify how quickly this should move forward.
It would be an awkward position on the part of the President to voluntarily call for special session, considering that there is this ongoing intrigues that the President is behind the impeachment proceedings.
New Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon is carrying out a purge in the agency. Dizon marked his official day as DOTR head with a memorandum asking incumbent officials of his new agency's central office to submit unqualified resignations by today. He said this is what any newly appointed leaders do.
It's just a simple gesture, of goodwill and good faith to the newly appointed leadership, which will allow the newly appointed leadership to find the best personnel to do the jobs.
House leaders commended Major General Nicolas Torre III for his firm stance against fake news and misinformation. This came after he filed legal action against a Cebu-based political vlogger who posted a fabricated photo on social media showing him in a hospital bed and implying he was sick. Last week, Torre also filed complaints of inciting to sedition and unlawful utterances against former President Duterte over his remarks about killing 15 senators, so all his bets would win in the midterm elections. And now joining us here in the studio to talk about that and more, we have PNP CIDG Chief Major General Nicolas Torre III. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning, ma'am.
All right. There's several House lawmakers have hailed you for your efforts against the Cebu-based vlogger, but there are also groups who are citing concern over this, over a possible abuse of authority, at the very least, a possible conflict of interest. Kayo po ang PNP CIDG chief. What would you say to that?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank the lawmakers for expressing support to our actions. And sa iba namang mga grupo na nagsasabing may conflict of interest, parang it is a public crime. Everybody knows that it's a crime being committed. A crime has been committed. And parang napaka-unbecoming naman kung si IDG chief ako at may mauna pang mag-complain at kailangan pang i-push kami or i-push ako para mag-file ng complaint na ito. So, talagang ginawa ko na ang dapat na trabaho ko naman in the first place. I-file ko ang kaso.
Wait, tell us all about the complaint that you filed. What was it exactly? And before, this was before the anti-cybercrime group. Tama po ba?
Yeah. Well, ito isa sa marami. Hanggang ngayon nga may mga fake news na naman na lumabas. Ito si Abines, marami na namang pinalabas na fake news. Itong vlogger na ito. So, ang isang particular na fake news na talagang parang masyadong vitriolic, how do you say that? Masyadong foul is one morning I woke up with a phone fully loaded with messages of concern sa mga kaibigan, kakilala, at saka sa mga well-wishers. Kung ano nangyari sa akin. Because he said that I'm critically ill and posted a photo of me supposedly in that bed. Pero hindi naman totoo. So, sabi ko, nagagawa nyo ito, subukan natin at pakita ko sa inyo na itong ginagawa nyo ay mali. So, just like any law-abiding citizen, nag-complain ako sa ACG, ACG took my complaint and then brought it to the court, asked for a search warrant from a judge. Ito nga, binigyan ng search warrant. At pagkatapos naman ng lawfully searched ang kanyang bahay, lawfully confiscated ang kanyang mga gadgets, bigla na lang iiyak-iyak siya at pagkatapos sabihin niya, kung ano-ano mga rights ang violated. May court order nga eh. Yun ang dapat maipaintindi sa ating mga kababayan na ang ating ginawa ay pinadaan natin sa korte. Korte na hindi pwedeng diktahan ng pulis.
Okay, so yung complaint po, puntahan po natin yung photo, no? Ito po ba ay totally fake? I mean, or kumuha po ng dati yung
Well,
retrato?
obviously, ang mukha ay akin. Pero ang katawan hindi akin. I've never been to that hospital. Actually, hinahanap ko yun dahil naging gwapo ako bigla doon eh. Aba, teka muna. Kung maging gwapo ako doon, pupuntahan ko yun ha.
Okay, so totally fake. Plinaster po yung
Yeah,
ano.
nilagay lang ang mukha ko doon.
What was the complaint exactly?
Cyber libel. It's a libelous publication.
Okay, and then the court granted a search warrant.
Yes.
But under the rules of court, a search warrant must describe the place to be searched and the things to be searched and seized. Ano po yung nakalagay
This is
dun?
a little bit different. This is a warrant to search, seize, and examine computer data under the Cybercrime Act. Ito. So, hindi ito yung ordinary na nakikita yung search warrant na this is a new search, this is a new, hindi naman new, kundi relatively new kumpara sa mga dating pagkakaalam natin. Ito ay hindi lang yung cellphone at saka yung computers ang isi-search na kukunin ang item. Inaalaw kami na buksan ang computer, examine ang laman.
Were you part of that serving of the search warrant?
Mga tao ko. May mga nag-provide kami ng security doon sa ACG na nag-serve ng WSSECD ang tawag nun. Warrant to search, seize, and examine computer data.
And what exactly did you seize?
We seize the gadget and then isi-seize yun, i-examine ang laman noon. Kasi, the complaint is like this. There is a malicious and libelous posting. Ganon ang procedure niyan eh. Wala pinagkaibahan sa ginawa ko nung ako'y nasa Quezon City Police, yung regarding sa series ng bomb jokes sa mga eskwelahan. So, may posting. So, sa posting na yan, pag libelous yan, kung sino ang tinamaan, whether it's a public person, or private person, or a public official, or whatever, pwedeng magpunta sa ACG para first and foremost, i-identify muna yung tao. So, ina-identify. And mind you, pag terrorism cases, the social media platforms are very cooperative. At saka sa mga
Kailan
crimes
niyo po
committed.
final yung complaint? Anong
So,
tatandaan niyo pa? Anong date?
Siguro 3 days before, 4 days before nung Saturday na yun. Kasi pag file mo ng complaint, identify din yung tao. And then, nag-surveillance at binerify nung ACG yung tao plus ang kanyang address. And then we went to a judge and said, ito po yung aming suspect na nag-file na nag-post nitong libelous remark na ito, libelous photo na ito. And then, para ma-strengthen yung case na yon, we asked for the search warrant. So, grabe, dumaan kami sa...
So it was a laptop and
laptop
a cell phone?
and a cell phone, yeah.
Oo. What were you hoping to find?
We will find the original posting there. Na itong laptop ang ginamit. Kasi yun ang kailangan eh.
Oo.
Sa'yo itong laptop na to, ito yung posting mo. Dito sa laptop mo. Ito yung nakita
To
namin.
verify that it was your post. That's
Yes.
number one.
Yes.
Number two, how about the fabrication of the photo? Alleged fabrication.
Ang bottom line dyan, pag
Ano po nakita niyo doon?
Pag makita yan sa laptop, nakita na sa laptop ang original post eh. Na talagang siya ang Jun Abines na nag-post nitong...
So yun lang po hinahanap niyo?
Yun lang.
Wala
Yun
nang
lang
iba
naman.
pang kailangan?
Wala nang kailangan. Itong kanyan, pinakasimple para maintindihan natin mga kababayan. Sa isang compound na mataas ang mga pader, may nagpapaputok. Identified yung tao. Hindi mo naman pwedeng pasukin ka agad yun at kunin ang kanyang baril. So pupunta ka sa judge. Judge, itong tao na to, merong baril yan. Naririnig namin nagpapaputok. Pahingi yan ng search warrant para legal naming mapasok ang kanyang bahay at masis ang kanyang property. Because doing the thing, papasukin mo ang bahay ng isang tao, isis mo ang property without any court order, that's a very, very big violation, constitutional violation yan. Yan yung mababiolate mo ang Bill of Rights na nag-assure sa lahat ng Pilipino na you are secured in your right sa home, property, and everything from unwarranted searches.
Which is the argument of Jun Abines na
Yeah.
hindi daw inantay yung lawyer niya and this was done without the presence of an attorney.
Kita mo naman yung mga ganong klaseng... ang mga... Yan yung hihintayin ko sa kanyang counter affidavit. Isulat niya, pirmahan niya lahat ng kanyang mga allegation para malaman natin kung anong totoo.
Pero
I have to remind him na meron kaming body camera and everything at malalaman kung sino yung mga mandated na dapat witnesses doon at kung kami ay nag-comply. Ngayon, kung may problema siya, file the case, pirmahan niya. The problem with these bloggers is that marami sa kanila, assert, pero pag you take them on their words, biglang atras na, hindi, ganito pala yun.
So any civilian can avail of this remedy.
Oh, yes, of course.
The route that you took. Magpa-file ng complaint, cyber libel complaints, anti-cybercrime group, and then pwedeng magkaroon ng search warrant.
Actually, marami na tayong mga kababayan na nag-avail niyan. Hindi lang napapublicize. Ito na, medyo napublicize, siyempre, dahil ako nga ang complainant.
Okay.
So, medyo
But of course,
nalagay
there
sa spotlight.
are questions as to the way this turned out bukod sa mabilis, no? Kasi parang 3 days na nakuha niyo na, sabi niyo po.
Ganun naman talaga. Ganun naman talaga.
Mabilis.
Ganun talaga. Mabilis.
Pangalawa, mga tao po ninyo ang nag-search. I mean, so
ACG, Anti-Cybercrime Group, kami nasa labas at kami ay pumasok na lang nung po-provide kami ng security kasi kukunti lang ng ACG. So si ADG and ACG undertook that operation jointly.
Okay, but you are the PNP CIDG head and this is a case under you. To avoid a conflict of interest, are you willing to let them handle it?
Actually, ACG is handling it. Ako complainant kasi ako eh. I am really directly responsible for this. Kasi kamay ko ang nagtaas dito na ako ho ang biktima rito.
Yung gadgets po ay nasa possession po ninyo ngayon?
Hindi, nasa ACG. Wala naman akong technical
nasa
capability.
ACG,
Yeah.
okay.
Wala akong technical capability para...
Was there any arrest that happened?
Wala ho.
Wala. So it was the search warrant?
Yes.
Okay. Article 353 of the Revised Penal Code identifies libel as the public and malicious imputation of a crime, vice, defect, real or imaginary, or any act, omission, condition, status, circumstance tending to cause dishonor, discredit, or contempt of a person. Meron pong iba nag-aalala that this might be an overreach of that definition of libel. Para po sa inyo, yung meron po kayong litrato na nasa ospital, yun po ang ang definition. na libel na po para sa inyo yun?
The judge had granted a search warrant. So I believe that we have satisfied Article 353 of the revised penal code.
Okay. All right. Let's go to your role as PNP CIDG chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Another topic that is coming up in the House is the reopening of the investigations into the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Meron po ba kayong mga kasong nasa hanay na yon?
Yes, sa start ng Quadcom, nung nasa Quadcom pa, open pa ang Quadcom, we have already started reviewing the cases, especially yung may mga complaints, may mga complainants. So, napakarami kasi noon ng mga suspected war on drug killings na, alam natin, napakarami na namatay. Inuuna namin ngayon yung mga may nagko-complaint, yung mga pumunta sa Quadcom na mga kamag-anak, kasi siyempre limited the resources, we have to prioritize. So, unahin namin yung may mga kamag-anak na talagang hinahanapan ng hustisya, and we intend to deliver justice for them.
How about the possible cases against law enforcement? Because pag EJK, kasama dyan ng police, sila yung inaakusahan na yun nga, sa extrajudicial killings. Meron po ba kayong investigations into the EJ case?
Basically, we are looking at our colleagues in this matter. Kasi ang mga nirereklamo is identified naman ng mga pamilya At meron talagang spot report naman yan. Those will be under review kasi may mga motu proprio investigation na ginawa dyan ng administrative bodies namin dyan.
Several lawyers are saying it is difficult to establish a credible case dahil po yung ebidensya ang medyo matagal-tagal na po yung time period na inimbestigahan.
Well, watch us. Pag naghanapan na ng ebidensya dyan, watch CIDG. I'll be presenting it personally.
So ilan po yung kaso sa ngayon na tumatakbo?
Well, medyo marami-rami And there are even calls now siyempre sa circles namin na kesyo protect this guy kasi inaabuso yung mga colleagues namin. Protect this Grijaldo, protect this Leonardo kasi supposedly binababoy sila ng AGK ng Quadcom, sila ay niliin kung ano-ano lang inaapi doon sa Quadcom. Ito lang sinasabi ko diyan. Ang assertion ko sa aking mga colleagues, sabi ko, bakit kailangang idepensa ni Grijaldo ang kanyang sarili? Bakit kailangang idepensa ni Leonardo ang kanyang sarili? And most importantly, bakit kailangan idepensa ng PNP ang kanyang ginawa nung time ni Duterte? Di ba may pangako na sagot niya lahat? This is the time already to ask him on his word. Nangako kang sagot mo lahat. So dapat, kung may akusasyon kay Leonardo, may akusasyon kay Grijaldo, may akusasyon kay kung kanino pa man,
Sagot lahat ni President Duterte?
Yes, sinabi niya Di ba?
So is the investigation leading towards him? Meron po ba kayong inimbestigahan na reward system dito sa PNP?
Kasama yan. Kaya nga, sinasabihan ko sila
Pero paano mag-i-establish ng evidence?
Pulis ako I'm a senior officer during the time.
Ano po inaasahan po natin na ebidensya?
I'll present it at the proper forum.
Okay.
Pero palagi kong sinasabi sa kanila, look at me straight in the eye. You guys, look at me straight in the eye. Tell me there's no reward system. Look at me straight in the eye. Tell me that...
Sa mga pulis po?
Yes. That there's nothing like that. There's no order to do that. Tell me and...
Kailan po inaasahan na lalabas po itong
Well,
findings po ninyo?
hinihintay na natin ang utos sa akin kung kailan natin ilabas yan. Because at the end of the day, it has to be... There's no justice kung walang... There's no closure kung walang justice Di ba? So, ayusin natin sa amin, ang prinsipyo ko rito, ayusin natin pag-imbestiga, no matter kung sinong tatamaan. Kasi at the end of the day, we have to give justice sa mga victims nito. Okay? Kaya nga, ang bottom line, nangyari ito dahil may nangako. Na at the end of the day, gaya niyan, si Kian, namatay. Presidente pa si Duterte na sila ay ma-convict. Nasaan ang pangako? Akala ko ba sagot niya lahat?
Okay.
Ngayon, tinanong na siya sa House Tinanong kung may order ba. Kung ano-ano mga palusot ng ginagawa So, ito, we'll pin him down with hard evidence.
When you say him, it's the former president?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all the other guys na mga enablers niya.
Speaking of utterances. Nabanggit niyo po sa previous interview po natin na you are looking at establishing a pattern of unlawful utterances against the former president. Kasama na doon yung kill remark niya. Killing 15 senators para makapasok yung mga kandidato niya, which sabi ng ibang senador na maaaring joke ito. Pero sabi ninyo, titignan niyo, bubuksan niyo rin yung mga dati pang sinabi niya. Kasama po ba doon lahat ng sinabi niya during his 6-year term? Hindi po ba para meron siyang immunity from suit noon, nung panahon na yon when he was sitting president? Or wala na yun ngayon?
I'll consult with the legal office, with my legal team regarding this matter. Pero sa ngayon, finailan ko siya ng kaso doon sa kill remark niya about sa 15 senators.
Yun lang muna. Very specific
Yes,
that.
very specific yun. Ngayon, tinitingnan namin kasi I think it will be part ng aming ebidensya ang predicate noon leading to that remark. Kasi napakarami niyang ginawa eh. Anong mga remarks niya? Pag assume niya pa lang, papupulahin ko ang dagat ng Manila Bay, patabain ko ang mga isda. There were times in the course of so many interviews, inamin niya na during his time as public prosecutor, he is planting evidence, he is sowing intrigue. And at the end of the day, pag pinatulan ang kanyang sinabi, sasabihin na lang na joke only. That is very unbecoming because for so many times when he pronounced that, when he said that, it's part of policy. Kasi elected leader siya at that time. Ngayon, hindi na siya leader. Kung ano-ano pa rin intriga, ang sinuso. Mga bagay na dapat pabayaan niya na lang muna yung presidente. 31 million ang mahigit ang boto ng presidente. So, this is the elected president.
Pero nasa inyo po yung kalbaryo ng finding reasonable certainty of conviction here. Kasi sinabi niyo po last week actually, ang pinaka-simpleng explanation dyan, pag upo niya sa inaugural speech niya, ano mga pangako? Pagpapatayin ng mga adik, anong nangyari? In the first 2 months, ang daming namatay.
Yeah.
I mean, establishing the link between the two of that is a different thing altogether.
Yeah, I know.
How do you plan to do that?
Well, first and foremost, ito sige, sabihin natin hindi niya ililink sa kanya. At the end of the day, solvein natin kung sino mga pumatay nun. Yun na lang, pinakasimple. Kasi at the end of the day, yung marami doon ang tandem, na unidentified ang mga bumarel, unidentified ang mga pumapatay. So, ang pinalalabas na ang mga drug syndicates ang nag-aaway-away sa turf, na nagbabarilan, nag-aagawan ng teritoryo at nag-aagawan ng customer. Sige, tingnan natin. Because andyan naman ang science eh. The crime laboratory is there. Let's see kung anong
So
sasabihin ng
inaasahan
crime
niyo po
laboratory.
magsalita itong mga na-involve dito sa mga patayan?
I think that's the only recourse or the only hope for them para magkaroon ng leniency if ever. Kasi pag tinutuon natin tinututuon natin ang investigasyon sa ngayon. At makikita natin.
May nagtatanong po kasi kung nasaan yung maraming baril. I mean, kung may nanlaban, dapat may baril.
Isa yan sa tinitingnan natin ngayon kasi i-review na namin ng crime lab and we are looking and we are finding a lot of holes. Lot
So,
of holes.
maasahan po ba natin ito bago magtapos ang termino ni President Marcos?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Hindi matatapos ang 2028 ito. Hindi magtatagal ito. At ito'y malalaman natin ang katotohanan dito.
Alright. Medyo mahaba-haba pa ang usapin, but that is a tip of the iceberg for now. Maraming salamat, Major General Nicolas Torre III, new
Thank you,
PNP CIDG Chief,
Thank you,
for joining us on Morning Matters.
Thank you.
And don't go away. We will be back with more stories right after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The Supreme Court held its second oral arguments on the transfer of 90 billion peso PhilHealth funds. Associate Justice Amy Lazaro Javier noted COA's observation that the state insurer's financial statements in 2021 had misstated liabilities and overstated assets. It appears the negative equity of PhilHealth now amounts to more than 816 billion, leaving questions as to whether or not PhilHealth is already bankrupt and can still sustain operations. Meanwhile, health reform advocate Dr. Tony Liachon lodged a petition at the Supreme Court to question the zero subsidy for PhilHealth. He called this a blatant violation of the provision of the sin tax law, which allots majority of tax revenues to PhilHealth. The Commission on Elections reported that over 45 million ballots for the 2025 midterm elections have been printed. This accounts for 63.32% of more than 72 million official ballots to be used for the polls. Now, of these, Miru Systems printed 22.57 million, while the National Printing Office produced 23.08 million. COMELEC aims to finish printing by March 9 or 10. Meanwhile, the Sandigan Bayan 2nd Division dismissed another ill-gotten wealth case against former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and former First Lady Imelda Marcos. In a 12-page resolution, the anti-graft court ruled that state prosecutors failed to pursue the case within a reasonable time, leading to its dismissal. The case, filed in July 1987, sought to recover vehicles and household appliances allegedly obtained by co-accused Fernando Timbol through his ties with the Marcoses. This case is among 40 lawsuits filed by the Presidential Commission on Good Government against the Marcoses and their associates. In other news, Pope Francis remains in critical condition for the fourth day running. The Vatican noted, though, that he is stable and has not had any further respiratory crises. The 88-year-old Pope was spending his 12th night at Rome's Gemelli Hospital. This is the pontiff's longest hospital stay throughout his papacy. His prognosis or possible outcome of ailment remains guarded due to uncertainties. When we return, we'll talk about more morning matters, and we'll discuss that with our next guest for this morning, Mr. Gringo Honasan. All of that and more when Morning Matters returns. I'm Gretchen Ho, and this is Morning Matters. The Armed Forces of the Philippines has welcomed the United States government's decision to unfreeze some $336 million worth of military aid for the country. Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad highlighted that the exemption ensures planned initiatives on sea, air, land, and cyber operations that they will push through. AP spokesperson Colonel Cersei Trinidad said the move strengthens ties between the Philippines and the United States. However, around 39 U.S. aid and State Department-funded projects in health, education, and the environment continue to be affected by the aid freeze. Let's get some reactions to that and other matters. Joining us this morning, we have former military officer and Senator Gringo Onasan. Thank you for joining us on Morning Matters.
Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you for having me.
Well, your thoughts first on that bit of news, the United States unfreezing the military aid to the Philippines. What is your thought on that move? Does it highlight the stance of the Trump administration? And also, do you agree with the Marcos administration's pivot towards the United States?
It's not a question of pivot or freezing or unfreezing of aid. No? What's our plan to defend our country? We start with that. Commonwealth Act number 1, drafted almost 80 years ago by Major Dwight Eisenhower and William Ward. That's 80 years old. Is that the basis for our national security? So, to me, it doesn't matter. What I would want to think is let's prepare on our own without unnecessary expectations that are based on variables we cannot control. We're being canalized into a pro-anti stance, no? But I seldom hear pro-Filipino. What are our plans? Unity, mobilization, organization. When I'm asked, Gretchen, does the Philippines have an army to confront any external threat? I said, no, the Philippines doesn't have an army because the Philippines is an army.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is the citizens must be mobilized to prepare to defend our country without relying on any temporary allies. Yes.
So that means you are in favor of mandatory military training. I mean, can we afford it?
Yes, it's in the law already. Yeah.
Yung ano po yung pagbabalik ng ROTC?
Hindi. Well, that has to be amended also because hindi naman dapat, Gretchen, na
What do you mean?
pamarcha-marcha.
What is in the law?
The law?
Yeah.
We mobilize the citizenry, especially the youth, for times of emergency, including...
But right now, are we prepared for that?
Yes. All we want to know, all the citizens want to know is what's our plan? Include us in that plan, in that mobilization plan. Where do we draw food, water, firearms if necessary?
And where do we get the preparation exactly right now if there is no military training in place, mandatory military training in place? What makes you think that we are prepared as civilians?
If we can prepare
to fight now?
if we can prepare for earthquakes and typhoons, we can prepare for any eventuality.
Is it not clear to you the administration's plan in defending the West Philippine Sea?
No,
It's not clear to you.
it's not clear to me.
Well, as a military man for 17 years,
Yes.
and with your wealth of experience, how would you approach that problem? Of course, we put Taiwan also in the picture. We put the EDCA bases also in the picture
Yes.
in the Philippines. They are there. We have even added more EDCA bases. I mean, studying everything the past years. What would your plan be?
The age of positional warfare is long gone. It's now asymmetric warfare. Okay? It's not anymore an external aggressor invading us. They asked me, are we prepared for any invasion? I said, there will be no invasion. You know why? Because they're here already.
What do you mean?
Look at the made in. Yeah. That's what I
And
mean.
how do we stand a chance if they are here already?
Well,
How do we equip ourselves? Even the AFP modernization budget has been cut in the GAA. Yung naaprubahan, mas mababa dun sa dapat. I mean, citing all of that, pati yung pera na kailangan for arms, how can we stand alone? How can we do this, build up our arsenal, practically, realistically?
History. Haven't they learned from the Japanese and the Spaniards and the Americans? Diba? Can you imagine the logistics line that they will have to go through to even try to occupy 7,100 islands? If they think the Viet Cong were, state of the art, they don't know Filipinos yet. I'm not confident.
But you said the age of positional warfare is done. It
Yes.
is
Yes.
asymmetrical warfare. How do you envision that to be?
Information, the new gold, the new oil. Information, complete, accurate, and timely information. By the way, that's now a basic need, no? Any issue, Gretchen, you can relate to food, clothing, shelter, health, education, and information.
Well, speaking of information, it was the People Power Revolution anniversary yesterday.
Yes.
And along with this anniversary, we also have news of the Sandigan Bayan dismissing ill-gotten wealth cases. With the, of course, the Marcos administration in power now, isn't history being slowly erased here?
That's above my salary grade. No? When I think of EDSA 39 years ago, it was a lesson in unity. When the people unite, get together with its army, for, not against anybody or anything, then things happen. That's what happened 39 years ago. People power.
Hindi pa po ako pinapanganak noon, no? So I'll be
Yun nga
honest
eh.
with you. So I'm reading about it.
Huwag mo lang masyadong lakas ang grades dahil
I read about-
lalo akong tumatanda.
No, I read about your role, and what I read said that you were a crucial figure in the toppling of the Marcos Senior administration in planning that with Juan Ponce Enrile. And you acknowledged there were abuses, there was corruption with the Marcos Senior administration. What do you mean when you say it was about unity and not about removing those corrupt in power?
Work in progress. No administration has been spared from issues of corruption, abuses of power. No? The problem, Gretchen, is, every time we go through shortcuts like people power or elections, after installing new people in positions, we all go home. Okay? We relegate governance. That's, government is too serious a matter to be given to government. So, ang pakikialam dapat nito, not during elections, no, but between elections. Because every 3 years we have elections. So, yung singilan dapat between elections.
Well, what is your assessment of the son, Marcos Jr., compared to the father, Marcos Sr.?
Well,
We are in the midterms, and that's what you mentioned.
Works both ways, no? Good because he's his father's son. Bad because he's his father's son. Standards will be imposed on him. But, I believe, Gretchen, that when you become president, God gives you extra lights, which are not given to ordinary government officials or ordinary Filipinos. I believe the president is trying his best, but he has to try his best in the context of what is our plan. No? Give you an example. Whole of government approach. Inclusive growth. Yet, we never go for the farthest, the smallest, no? And the poorest. It's always, ilan ba boto dyan? Saan ba tayo kikita dyan? That's not what connectivity and inclusive growth is all about, no? When you connect, no, digitally, or through a railroad, or through a road, or through ports, no, a group of people, no, very small group of people, no, then eventually, that's the classic management theory, di ba? That's the short-term investment for a long-term benefit. Pag kinonect mo, dadami ang tao, dadami ang botante, at pag dumami ang botante, dadami ang tao, kikita ka rin naman.
Well, what do you think can this administration do to become pro-poor? Because sinabi nyo, yung mga maliliit hindi na nabibigyan ng hindi sila nabibigyan ng pansin. But the President Marcos, for example, already appointed DOTR Secretary Vince Dizon, who was seen in the past days commuting. Sinasabi niya itong mga connectivity in transportation, ayusin daw niya within the end of Marcos administration's term. I mean, what is the President lacking in terms of achieving what you said, to become more pro-poor?
Let's define poor. What is poor? Threshold ba yun ng 12,000 pesos a month? What's poor? Di ba? So my platform, I'm running by the way, no?
Yes, you are running
yes,
again
I'm
for
running.
senator?
Yes, for senator, di ba? So what is my platform? Security. Seguridad ng pagkain, pabahay, pagpapagamot, edukasyon, at saka impormasyon. Di ba? So, traffic, land use. By the way, guys, I forgot. It's good I remember, no? Every 30 years, our population doubles. In 1986, nangyari yung people power, no? We're 55 million. Ngayon, 120 million na tayo. Ano ibig sabihin nun, di ba? Pag nagdoble, didoble rin ang pangailangan sa pagkain. Di ba? Pagkain, government services, mass transport. What did we do?
Well, let's go first to food security because that is a
security.
problem that
Yes.
is very difficult to solve. I mean, everybody will say that they want food security, they want sustainability, and they want less imports, more exports, and for us to be able to supply our own food. But what is your practical, concrete solution to that problem?
Words, okay? Food security. It's going to be declared as an emergency situation, correct? We have to answer first one question. Is it a supply problem or a distribution problem? If it's a supply problem, why is grain rotting in the warehouses owned by middlemen? It can be both. Okay? If we cannot feed our own people without smuggling or importing, when we taught our neighboring countries how to plant quality rice from Erie in Los Maños, what's going on? So, kailangan may plano dito. No?
Oh, hindi po ba yan naman sinasabi ng administrasyon na they're trying to solve the supply distribution problem, run after the smugglers and the hoarders?
Baka masyado tayo nakikinig dun sa sinasabi. Hindi natin tinitingnan yung ginagawa. Balik tayo dun sa inclusive growth. Bakit kulang yung pagkain sa ibang lugar na konti ang boto? Diba? These are basic questions that should be factored when you begin planning for serious development.
You in 2022 you ran under the UNITEAM slate. And,
Yes.
and you mentioned that unity is essential in all issues,
Yes.
including housing, including whatever problem, solving poverty. What is your what are your thoughts now on what's happening with the Dutertes and the Marcoses?
Well, you're being very kind, Gretchen. So, they were asking, ano ginagawa ni Unasan sa UNITEAM ni Marcos? Diba? By the way, I did not apply for the UNITEAM. I was asked to join the UNITEAM. So sabi ko, bakit? Ano ba ang platform natin? Unity. Sabi ko, okay yun. Unity. Okay? Sabi niya, but don't you realize that you're part of what happened 39 years ago? Sabi ko, okay, let's go down to basics. Sino ayaw ng unity? Raise your hands. Wala naman nagtaas ng kamay. Okay. But I agree with you, no? If the unity, the running mates are now...
But back then, did you foresee the breakdown of the unity?
No. No. I stood there in every platform, in almost every rally, to promote unity. And we were living symbols of what should be unity. Before it was Marcos Aquino. Now it's Marcos Duterte. So, ang concern ko rito, Gretch, no, is this is the national conversation that our next generation of national and global leaders are witness to. Is that how we want them to behave when the time comes to lead this country?
So where do you stand on the political fence? You're running under the Reform PH People's Party.
That's a party reform, but technically I'm independent. Yes.
And last we saw the surveys, I think you were at number 17.
Yes.
How do you plan to climb up to the Magic 12? It is a very tight, competitive senatorial race.
Continue presenting myself to our people and showing na ito is not about, it's about kakayahan and karanasan and the willingness to serve. And my track record as a senator for 21 years speaks for itself, no? From land use to national security to clean air, clean water, disaster management. It's a litany.
Kayo po ay naging senador from 1995 to 2004, 2007 to 2019. How come you still have what you call is unfinished business in the Senate? Ano pong hindi nyo nagawa noon na gusto nyo ituloy?
Because Gretch, the Senate is a collegial body. No single individual, including the Senate President, can claim.
But are there specific bills that you want to pursue?
Yep, land use. Oh, di ba? Finite yung, by the way, land and water use ito, no? Anong lupa ang gusto natin for agricultural, commercial, industrial, educational, government centers, di ba? Pag alam na natin kung ano yun, alam na natin kung saan dadaan yung kalsada, yung railroad, saan lalagay yung port, no? Ang kakambal nun, which we were able to pass, no, is the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Law. Okay, case in point. Bakit ka maglalagay ng bahay sa tagiliran ng Marikina River na tuwing uulan, bumabaha, di ililikas mo na naman. Ba't ka maglalagay ng bahay sa paanan ng bundok na kinalbo, di mudslide? Threatening constitutionally life, liberty, and property.
But don't you already have those classifications in place?
No. We're all relying on zoning ordinances. What we need is a land use policy. By the way, we're also an archipelago. Iba-iba ang needs doon eh. So yung land use mo for Visayas, for Luzon, and Mindanao, should be a little tweaked, a little different, peculiar. But the the way forward, since I was also Secretary of Department of Information and Communications Technology, is digitize. We can intervene faster in a more precise manner.
But if you had a long term as a senator, what makes a difference now? Why should people vote for you?
Because
You're not a new name necessarily.
Yes.
You have been
Correct.
In the political front lines for a very long time. What do you bring to the table? If you were not able to finish that business when you were sitting as a
What
senator?
I bring to the table, Gertz, no, is 17 years as a soldier, 7 years as a rebel, 21 years as a senator, the first truly independent senator in Philippine political history to win not only once but 4 times. And then secretary of Department of Information and Communications Technology. That's almost 50 years of public service. But my best qualifications really, I'm not perfect. I'm a good husband. Good provider. I'm a good father. I'm also a super lolo. If my family will not vote for me, what business do I have presenting myself to the electorate and asking them to give me another chance to go back to the Senate? You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot share what you do not have.
I want to go to your term as DICT Secretary. In January 2020, the Department of Information and Communications Technology was flagged by the Commission on Audit for 300 million pesos worth of cash advances of confidential funds under your leadership as
Yes.
DICT Secretary. What exactly did the DICT use these confidential funds for?
COA did not flag us. Check the records, no? But anyway, let's go to that issue, no? Confidential funds. We used it to address the hacking of one important sector, which we reported to the President. Something was done about it, but I cannot say more because it involves national security. We're being hacked on a daily basis by temporary friends and allies. For whatever reason, I do not know. But if you go by our record as the ICT Secretary, 800% increase in broadband, 500% increase in free Wi-Fi. But my term was cut short because I ran again under the unity. Yep.
Okay, you mentioned you cannot mention things because they are of a confidential nature.
By the way, we reported to the Office of the President, which the Office of the President did something about it. It arrested the threat, cyber threat.
I'm just curious to know what was on your mind while the hearings on the Vice President's use of the confidential funds was ongoing, and they could not explain Mary Grace Piatos na nabigyan ng pondo, nabigyan ng confidential funds dun sa parang resibo o AR, yung ibang paulit-ulit na mga pangalan at yung mga signature na parang pare-pareho. I mean, sabi nila, hindi nga namin pwedeng i-reveal ito kasi confidential in nature. Pero hindi ba, kahit pa paano, where do you drum up a Mary Grace Piatos? It was not even in the PSA.
Let's forgive malay ko naman dyan. Hindi naman ako korte, di ba?
Oo.
Okay. Padaanin lang sa due process based on evidence. Pero kung impeachment na pag-uusapan, that's a political process. Na-impeach na, di ba?
Hindi po muna yun.
Ayun.
Yung VP's use of confidential funds, the office's use of confidential
Bakit tinawag
funds.
na confidential funds, di ba? It's subjected to special auditing and accounting procedures. Sealed envelope yan. No?
And there
Dahil
was a notice of disallowance from the Commission on Audit.
I cannot pass judgment on that, no? But let it go through the process. Yun lang, si Presidente, pinag-usapan natin yung sinabi. Okay? Sabi ng Presidente, impeachment is a waste of time. It will drain our resources. In the middle of elections. Di ba? Dapat ang usapin dito, ano ba plataforma at programa ng mga humaharap na kandidato, di ba?
But going back to confidential funds,
Yep.
if we always dismiss it as this is confidential, hindi pwede ganito. Hindi ba prone din yun to abuse?
Oh,
Malay ba
well,
natin
definitely.
kung sino nakatanggap ng pera na yun?
Kaya
Ganun lang kadali. At I think there were questions on the disbursing officer also.
Lahat, the works.
Yes.
Kaya inimbento yung COA. Trabaho nila to. Yun lang. Ang sinasabi ko, pag let's say impeachment, Vice President pa naman, second highest official in the land. Diba? Now, there's another point. No? By doing this, we're exposing our strengths and weaknesses as a developing country to temporary friends and adversaries. Ito ba gusto natin ipakita dun sa mga nag-aambisyon sa atin? Siguro yung mga nanonood, no? Ang gugulo nila. Mag-reclaim pa nga tayo dun sa West Philippine Sea.
But when it comes to the confidential funds that is being investigated, 120 million, I believe, in confidential funds spent in over 11 days. And meron pang ibang mga allocations of confidential funds. Do you believe that the Vice President should have an allocation of confidential funds?
It doesn't matter what I believe. Let it go through due process. Let's hear out COA. What are the other
Pero
evidence?
Congress also has power over the purse. They have the power, according to the Constitution, to make sure that the appropriations in the budget are being appropriated to what they are really for.
Rich, perception ito, Congress, Caesar's wife, talking about confidential funds. We have weaponized the budget. We have occasionally weaponized our justice system. So, where is the consistency? So, selective. I know because I've been on both sides. I've been on the receiving end, di ba? Pagkakampi ka sa politika, di ba? Magaan na sa'yo. Pero pag kalaban ka, tutuloyan ka. Wag naman. Wag naman.
Do you agree that the 2025 GAA is one of the most corrupt budgets in Philippine history?
Whether I agree privately or publicly, I cannot say that on the air, no? Di ba? Running for election, it will polarize, di ba? I might as well wear a t-shirt with a target, di ba? For those who will be affected.
But we do know that when it comes to instances where you see, like for example, in the Marcos dictatorship back in 1986, that you do take an active role in it.
Yeah.
Very, very curious to know. You also staged a coup against President Cor.
By the way, before you continue, no? Define coup. It's a power grab. So, nung 86, okay lang. Nalumbas kami sa barracks because somebody benefited. When they were the targets for serious issues, they called it a coup. Where's the consistency? So, double standard. Namimili tayo. A coup is by the way, I'm credited with 7 to 9 coup attempts. I will accept. I have the amnesty thing, di ba? 86, 87, and 89.
No, but under what circumstances does it come to your mind that a sitting president's time is over?
Gretch, I've stood at the gates of Malacanang Palace, no, in full combat gear many times in my life as attacker and defender, with no invitation except from my conscience. I didn't know how to proceed from there. But let me put it squarely, no? When I believe in something, I will die for it. You name me a candidate who will do the same. And by the way, don't allow. No, walang camera, di ba? Huwag mo na paghubarin ako ng t-shirt dahil, di ba? Ganun. Ang tama ko ng bala at yung tama sa puso ko at sa utak ko, you know, I made that call.
All right, we have former senator and now senatorial candidate once again, Gringo Honasan, giving us his thoughts on current political happenings as well as his own platforms for the upcoming midterm elections.
Kasi nakala ko, tatanungin mo ako kanina, ba't ka galit?
Di, okay lang. Sanay po ako sa mga passionate.
Ganun ba? Okay?
Oo.
Yeah. Same initials.
That's it for today's episode of Morning Matters. My name is Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.